Oh my god. Hi everybody, my name is Jessica Holyfield and I'm a professional dance choreographer and dance educator based out of the southeast of the United States, and we're here taking a look at Work by ATEEZ. This is not just a dance practice but a fixed cam version, which makes my heart sing, so I can really see all of the visuals and all of the vibes that come with this. I do know the choreographer is Jay Blaze. I do know BB Trippin's involved and San. So this is going to be really fun taking a look at San's choreography. It's going to be great. Let's go ahead and check it out. Oh. Oh my god. This is so good. Hey, I will say, Mingy's movement quality here is looking pretty good today. Nice. It's a good style on him. I love this choreo. Do I see this in my future? Yes. I am very excited to look at this. Very excited to dance to this. Very fitting. Oh, I love the feature reveals on that. That was good. I believe this is a section San choreographed, I think is what I heard. We just went with the fixed point vibes. That was good. Yeah. Oh my god, that was really good. Jay Blaze was a great choice because how he syncopates or how he phrases his sequences are really tasteful to a track like this. And it does have a Western feel about it. Not Western like country, but Western, like Westernized, like America. Like I still stand by this. It feels like a Macklemore track, and I'm here for it. I love listening to Macklemore, his vibes, specifically the thrift shop era. That's what it's giving to me, hence why I'm vibing out over here. So let's go ahead and go from the top. They're all in different poses. Love it. Side note, love the fact it's just the 8 of them. Let's live it up. I'm here for it. I mean, here's the thing. I love it whenever they have BB Trippin involved in the actual, like, physical dance representation, but it's been a hot minute for me since I've seen just the 8 of them do something together outside of, I think, like, Not Okay was the last time I saw something, which it's just so cool that we're, like, in the comebacks now. We're in it. I love it. It's cool. So, of course, you have Hongjoon. I do know all of them now. Hongjoon kind of stays more stagnated. He's more pedestrian, more natural, neutral. Everybody else crosses over. Really nice to establish your first formation. You have a group of 5, you have 1 right behind Hongjun, and then you have 2 framing to the outside. Fine setup. This right here, gotta work. It's a little heel toe, and a lot of it stems from where the weight is being shifted in your rock as you're doing your heel toe. Low key, what's really cool about it is I guess I'm like more aware of the presence of torso to what you're doing with heel toe variants, because I did a choreo with Jess. I made my debut with that little series, and I did Blind by ATEEZ, so I choreographed to it, and I added on the accordion sound, I added an opposing torso to a heel toe. So now seeing this, notice that it has this grunge dip in it. It's sitting in the pocket of the track, and that is what you want to see on a track like this in order for it to feel justified in your choices. They can freaking roll on the floor. If they're in the pocket, we're living, you know? So I really love how they progress that. Like, this whole course, filthy. So good. And notice too, they even have the intention of the bottom of the palm as we press it up. Really cool. Nice. Then they goes heel toe, but notice that with the torso, the sway on it, and how they took the arms, it made it feel like 2 completely different moves, but so complementary, even though the lower half is technically the same. So they take it, they prep it over to stage right, they slide it back, and then from here, immediately using more of like a trot vibe. What's cool was the slide is we low-key, you notice with Hongjun, he prepped his head. It felt kind of like a tortoise almost. So we pushed it back, made it the subtle fixed point. And I don't know if that was intentional. I just assumed based on how he pushed, he had some opposition in play of his head and his chest. And then we neutralize it and have it swayed back. I really love that. I love the trot on the, yes. Great on the music, great on the sound. Then da-da-da, and then we go and we ball change it to reinstate both hands instead of just one hand, which I really like. Then that part, make it yeah, it's just, oh my god, like this rock right here that you specifically we see in the Mingy Willy Wonka section, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This part right here, this gives like, if this feels like a J Blaze petty groove, that's exactly what this is right here. Ugh, filthy, disgusting, in the best way possible. So good. Love that. Cool, everybody drops. So it makes a fun little accent moment with Hongjun, allowing everybody else to create like a pop-up moment, and then we immediately come back up. So there's a lot of these level changes, and there's a really fun feature reveal that we'll get to whenever we see it. But I like these little pop-up moments because it allows us to be like, kind of feels like whack-a-mole, but in like a dance sense, in a great way. Like, I don't want to hit them, I want to admire it, right? It's cool. They get it through, hit, boom. So they take it, hit, kind of chug through, and then they represent out over to the side, to the left side. Then from there, da-da-da, and then we rotate it around. Really like that. And of course, this type of position is going to be an overlap fingerprint throughout the track because it does have like a Latin influence, is what I would call that too. Spanish, it was just so fun. And then, and so you're going to see a lot of these choices, which is really, really cool. And so seeing these rotations are going to be complementary is my point there, which is cool. Got it. Here we go. And then we ball change it. Then right there. Oh my god. Like, that's really fun. Where's Waldo? You know, we found him. Ready? I'm doing so good. There he is. We found him. Chef's kiss. Now we can move on. I have to do a Where's Waldo check. We have found him. We can move on from there. I love the fact that we did a ball change. Leave the body behind. So it's like there's subtle fixed points. And when I talk about a fixed point, it's whenever you have a part of your body that's stuck in a particular space in the environment and your body moves around it, giving the appearance that it's stuck there. Or it's fixed. That's what's called a fixed point. So in this case, there's a lot of these ball changes. They're deceptive, but they are fixed pointed. Like in this case of what we just saw here, you notice that the ball change, they leave the torso behind. So when they ball change, boom, this gets left like a fixed point. It's your back, it's fixed pointed, and then you hinge it over. That part, gotta work. So we lean it, gotta work over. I mean, you can probably get away with it not being as much of a fixed point. You really notice it in San's dance break is what I'm gonna call that. That ball change, boom, and then we bring it up and over. That party, boom, so it goes da-da-da, doo-doo, gotta make that money. So we go boom, doo-doo-doo-doo, that clarinet sound, and then we double it up, which is really nice. Hit it through, da-da-da, make it really nice. Definitely love the build-up on that, where they take the arms, use the chest, boom, bringing it around, really nice. Then they take it through fur coat we wear, so I like the brush where they take it and they swerve it through with a little pas de bourrée happening out of it. That's really nice. I love the surprise where we have everybody do unison, but then we have a surprise of everybody going and creating a mirrored formation where we're attacking diagonals. That's really cool. So we have some, well, technically we have some facing side. We got Yoonho going front. We got 2 going to the side. We got the corners represented, and then we got the inside. So we got a lot of corners covered. I don't know in the very back if he's going straight back. Part of me feels like he is, and that would make it feel very complete, very symmetrical. Really love this. I love the formation setup and the direction changes on this. That's another thing that keeps it very captivating, because if you look at the choreo is simplistic. Simple doesn't mean hard, but not simplistic in structure. Simplistic in the actual moves. If you separate them each independently, they're like very simple, but how they're sequenced together, I literally told you all this, how they're sequenced together, so fascinating, and makes it, it makes my Rodman Area 47 just erupt in happiness of trying to semantically understand this. It's just, melting like freaking butter right here. Really cool. They take it through nice subtlety. So we go from the corners. We're still framing to the inside, but notice that we're not creating an opposed mirror. It is a mirror, but opposed mirror, what I mean is having people go directionally different places, even with your front feature, but now everyone's framing to the inside to Yoonho, so it feels more unified, which is cool, but it's still a mirror down the center, which is nice. So they go, hit, make it purr, cool, and take it through, boom. Notice that's the quickness of the clap, feels like a little surprise. Then right here, it goes into, could I Kingsta walk it? I mean, technically yes, but they're not really ISOing it down like you would see a go-to Kingsta walk. I like that, gotta work. Yoonho did a great job. I love how he throws his hand and it looks like a saloon door, which I think is so fitting for the type of track. He goes, whoa! That right here, notice this little groove. I like how the arms extended. It's definitely one where, you know, it's a groove and the focus is kind of like, it's not old man, but it does give like this older lived in experience vibes, which is really cool. With just a simple step touch, like step touch, two to the right. Like I'm saying, it's simple in choreo. It's how it is structured that makes it so freaking entertaining. And their charisma, performance, like their performance matters. Like if they were just doing choreo, it would look boring AF. But here in this case, because they're giving it, for me, I can just imagine how they would do this live. I have seen little baby excerpts of the lives, but not enough to like act. I didn't sit through and do a full watch because I was waiting for this to come out. This fixed point, glorious moment. So cool. Then he goes over the side. I like that choice. Da 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 da. Then we double it up. Then a left and a right. Da da da. And then we do a little. Once again, it's a little head vibes there. Could they have Kangsta walk that? Possibly. A lot of times you do see this set up with the arms. So that's why it tailors well to Yoonho's ending section to go to end Songhwa's phrase. Songhwa's also pulling like a 2017 energy right here. 2018 with the hoodie with like half of it up. Gosh, I used to do that too. I digress. I like switching it through. Da-da-da. Got San. He's in the sunglasses. Well, so is Hungjun. I mean, BB Trippin also does that in their stuff. Will I wear sunglasses? I don't know. Do I have a fur coat I will be wearing? Absolutely. I'm going to live my Macklemore live. Macklemore Mingy live is what I would call this. Anyway, I love the stomp there. Boom. They take it. Really nice. So we are noticing kind of an overlap. There's a lot of these extended hands, nice and flexed, powerful. Always follow what's going on with the hands. Sometimes if they have it in a fist versus a candlestick versus 2 fingers versus stylized, you have positioning, the rotation of the wrist. Those things communicate different topics, different points, right? So like if I'm talking and I'm going through something and I'm really excited about it, a lot of times I'll use my hands more. But if I'm a little bit more insecure, I'll kind of like internalize them, you know? But if I'm wanting to like, if I'm angry, you'll see more tension in my hands. And that's just, you know, just me. But there's so much you can dive into that, but I digress. Here, I do like the subtlety. If you have those on the side, they're pulling this extra energy where they're still on stage, but they're vibing kind of in their own world or letting what's happening happen, which is cool. I love that bass. Boom, boom, boom. Syncopated. Nice. Riding it effectively. They're doing chest pops on that, not chest bops, which I really like. Really nice and refined. They hit it through. That part. gosh, that reminds me of like when you see people run, but they're like not trying. It feels like that. I love that energy. I love that energy so much because I'm not used to seeing ATEEZ do these grooves or like do these types of transitions. I'm used to seeing like convention circuit, because like I said, Jay Blaze, I don't know if he still is on Chaos convention circuit, but he has been. He was one of the OG instructors when it came out. But he does like this kind of stuff I'm used to seeing on like the West Coast class scene. Like this is like butter, I'm telling you. I love that. Take it through. Boom. Notice there's this extra pull. They're using those hips and they're locking in the arms to the back to really make that feel nice and strong but stable and clean. Love that. And I like it going into the every other. So you have, once again, now we've turned into a complex mirrored formation. These are so fascinating because they literally just, the directions, but it still showcases mirrors. It just makes you think and it makes you captivated because your brain can't process it immediately. It's not as predictable as a typical mirrored formation, especially if you're more used to seeing these type, like if you're seeing dance a lot and you're seeing mirrored stuff, like you're gonna get saturated in it very quickly. These are so fun and it's so quick and fast paced, it makes it very enjoyable. So when you look here, they're going in the corners, you got your front, your back in the corners and in your side. So, and it's just the inside that's going to the, like, it's just like line 2 that's going to the inside. So they could technically all go out, but there's always one little line that deviates, but it works and it's complementary. You gotta work. Like, everything in this works and it matches the track punningly, and I mean, truly, it's great. And they take it, and I love that because then it's created two, oh god, oh man, this is so fun to talk about. Okay, so by having those two, Hongjun and San, mirror in that way, they take it through the transition, now we've turned it into a completely different formation, 2 diamonds, like, good god, and it's mirrored out the freaking wazoo. So clean, and they're all facing towards each other. So I love the fact that we do get a lot of energy to the front, but there's a communal element that's in play on this, and the reason why is because they're doing a lot of facing each other and facing in unique directions, like in the corners, not just in the sides or the front. So we're exploring more of our plane here, that we can look in different directions, because normally whenever you have music shows, yeah, they can do a lot of camera op stuff, and they typically do, but a lot of times you see them pan to a corner once or twice, but you don't see, like, it feels like this is a whole freaking block party, and I think it reiterates it and matches what's going on in the music video, but the choreography speaks for itself and comes across that way anyway, but it's because of where they're facing, which I'm very much a fan of. This is so fun. Love it. And they dig it through. Notice it's the pull of the hips on that, and it's a little bit more like we're driving a really cool stroller. It kind of feels like that, almost. He picks it up. Love that. Little flex action on that. Love that part. They dip it down, they come right back up. And then flamingo, they pick it up. So notice the flamingo like lifts their leg and they hold it. So having like a brush on that with the leg lifted up gives a very tiny subtle representation of flamingo, but he's talking about, I think, flamenco dance. So once again, I don't know. Does flamenco, do they go by flamingo? I personally don't think so, but I could be wrong. But he talks about flamingo. They are 2 subtly different words. Change a letter and it's a completely different thing. But that to me feels like flamingo. The pickup of the foot would make sense because a flamingo a lot of times is on one leg. So I like that choice. It's a vibe. It works. Adios. He said, peace. This part, melting. I love it. Love it because we got more of a Latin influence, using more of our chest, and we're using our hips. I'm definitely a fan of, and they make it feel like a Soul Train vibe, right? But not quite, because we don't see San travel forward with it, I don't believe. But I do love the fact that we have one of them go away, that we have one of them stay there, and then if anything, they just have him go to kind of disappear. Really nice, where they go dun 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 right here into the column. It's just also their transitions, when they're choosing to transition, is in the middle of a 2/8 count structure. A lot of times we normally go dun 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 transition dun dun dun, or normally we explore in the 3rd and the 4th 8 count. But in this case, they're going like on the second one, which also it doesn't feel like a predictable structure on completing your phrases, because the track is dun da dun da da dun da 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 da. They do it again, da 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 da, bum 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 bum. So you would expect a transition either on this section or this section. You would not expect it here, because what ends up happening is you're assuming, okay, we're establishing our formation and we're doing choreo here. Then we're going to deviate either in the formation levels, staging, or spacing, not transition to a new complex represented formation, which is what we're seeing here. Typically when you see people go from something expanded like that into a line, the line gets its own moment to shine through a couple different phrases. I see that all the time. I mean, 17 did it all the freaking time. And so I'm like very familiar with it. And ATEEZ has done it too. So it's, and they, yeah, I mean, I love that where they take it, and they go and melt all the way through. So they reestablish their line. That was so fun. And then immediately into another transition. So this transition is when you're normally used to seeing it. So that's why this one to me doesn't feel as complex as, or as much of a surprise, because my predictability is when you pattern make, that's just a safer pattern to go off of that your dancers implicitly are going to also have in their toolkit, but it's just fundamentally safer in the formation structure, just from lived experience is what I'm going off of here. And so going here into that third 8 count, well, really that fourth 8 count is this one. It doesn't feel as like, oh my gosh, that's so crazy, this transition. It's like we're expecting the transition because we're transitioning to a different section of the track. So, but I really loved going from there, really nice, grounded, love the choice that they chose to really use and showcase their chest and their torso. Definitely a fan of that. A lot of times with groups, especially if you're gonna sing, that's the first thing to go bye-bye if you're featured. So I love the fact that I know that they are live, and they go ham. They're one of the most impressive live performers I have analyzed, like through and through. And I still have a lifetime of analytics to go with many groups. They are very impressive in that way. Shout out, hats off to them. It's so fun. No, 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 right here. No, 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 no. And then we're going into a nice slide. This part right here doesn't surprise me because I had seen it, but it's the second half of the course that really catches my attention. So I love the energy. Gotta work, gotta work. So fun. And then we go patty cake, but it's like petty patty cake. Ooh, this is so fun. And I really like the fact that this does turn it into a partner dance. So how ATEEZ has been getting people to do it is they do this section so they actually interact. I like that. And it feels like, I feel like it's a more effective or an appropriate challenge if you want to invite people in on it. It feels more communal, and it feels like you're reiterating the point of the track to me. So I'm a fan of them going with this excerpt in comparison to the first course and the last course. I will probably do the first and the last because I only dance with myself for the most part. My friends don't really do the viral challenges and stuff, and so that's okay, and I'm totally fine with that. But man, I really like how they use this to promote work. It's a very smart choice because it gives off a great energy. I love that hit, pa, pa, and I love the little extra accent going on in the torso before they hit it. And then they swing it. They do da da da. Yes. So it's the second time they do it. Really nice how they set that up. Really fun. Then right there, definitely gives like a subtle necro flex vibes, but it's not isolated enough to give it that. Next, twisto flex, but it does remind me of it honestly reminds me of No More Dream, BTS, like la 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 la, like that's like so slow and so 2013 2012, right? I don't know when they debuted. I'm so sorry. They were like one of the first Gen 3 groups to debut, right around with EXO. So I digress though. My point being though, I love seeing that there, like how they're digging into it in the ball chains. God, it's melting. Like, make it that part right there. Oh my God, yes. Here for it. Then it goes, that part is still, I'm gonna be honest, that part does look a smidgen awkward, but rightfully so. Let's talk about it. That part, it's because they reset like the quickness of this torso and doing these really high knees, like you're in West Side Story. Does that make sense? So it goes per, da da da, like that. Ooh, that's going on doo 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 on the clarinet, doo 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 to reset. Whew, good work on their part. Then we dig it through. Notice we're letting that head go last, so it definitely feels like we're being drugged by our legs. Nope, no, our head is last. It's residual, and then you have your feet that are kind of influencing and infiltrating there. Then from here, taking it through, take the arms up. Oh, do notice that they're taking and using the shoulders to create a little bit more bounciness. That little got it. So they're making it feel stiffer, but they have this extra little teetering that's happening. This is residual from the effects of the heaviness of the steps, and they're definitely hard. Like you think straighter with the legs, straight legs, and it's going to cause this little recoil reverb effect because it's reacting. It's more reactionary up here. It's not, because I'm going to tell you this right now. There's probably people that do this, but they go like so ham. The focal point technically is up here, but how it happens is it doesn't come from the energy up here. It comes from the energy of the legs. This is more conversational, like, ooh, I guess I'll do something, right? So I want you guys to keep that in mind, especially if you're covering this. Think about the legs more. Like there's a lot of movements where the focal point, the energy doesn't technically come from there. It comes from somewhere else. So in this case, that is reactionary to this. So I really like that. So cool. So cool. Gotta work. Yay. And then we go right here and tailor it into the second half of that first course. It's this right here. But notice what they did. Instead of just keeping it up, they keep it super low. My front row does, so we can have a level change as they kick. And then they rotate it. It's so quick on that little snake around. Goodness gracious. And so that is a wonderful example of taking our pattern detector in our brain and saying, pattern who? Because there's so much familiarity in this section, but the reason why it doesn't feel like we're watching the same thing is because you're technically not. The choreography or the content is the same, but notice how they structured it. You saw all of this sequence over going to stage right, but what happened is they cut it off. They did it around the same section of the course, so that's familiar. They did the content, that's also familiar, but the order in which they're going is different, the level is different, and they also deviated and did a direction change that is also different. So there's just as much familiarity as there is differences, and that's what makes it work. Oh my god, I love this. Then they take it, boom, fur coat, and then we rev it up to the other side. Then they do it once again, make the money hit, and we turn it. So much of that ball change, and then we clap, boom, different formation too, and they're facing the opposite way. Cool, there's your gangsta walk. I say Sunghwa did the most gangsta of the gangsta walks because he actually did a little more ISO on that. Work, and he went, pew, love it. And I love that I pull it through right here. I really love the dig on the feet on this. It did remind me of like a subtle bedrock, possibly. I mean, we're not going to go into specifics on that, but I like, of course, whenever I see this type of like a legato footwork style, it's fun. And of course, with Hong Joon, he comes in, the rotation, hit, and notice that they do a little kick to a chug, not really a chug, but a scuff. So they kick, scuff, and then they immediately let the head have this really nice tension that travels all the way through. A little nice legato, but it's accented as they travel it across. Like there's this wall of energy that they hit right here, boom, and it's traveling through their body like they're teleporting. It's really cool. Love it. There they go, da, da, and so they hold it, step, step. So they're waiting, boom. So they have to be very mindful of their weight shift on that. They don't want to overshoot it because what'll happen is they'll step too early and they won't be on the part of the music they're supposed to hit, so it wouldn't be as impactful. So really good job on their range check on that. They accent, boom, boom. I love that. Really love this. Hong Joon's rap is really well done. I will say he's becoming very consistent in creating iconic phrasing, or how, I think Eeny Meeny with Chungha, because I've seen all of it, most of ATEEZ's work at this point, which is really fun, but I would say from Eeny Meeny to like now, Hong Joon's really sticking out in a fantastic way on how his phrases are structured and how he's entertaining different ways of exploring his own tone in it. I'm not saying that he wasn't doing that before. It just caught my attention. Could be timing of I was going through Kingdom Legendary War at that time as well, and so I'm just getting saturated by back end stuff of Hong Joon's lyricism. development. And so I feel like it could be just a mix of a couple things during that time period, and I just didn't catch it earlier. But I'm really happy that I'm in that place, because I felt that way with Sungmin with Stray Kids. I think he really came into himself during the Legendary War process, and I would extend the same thing to Hongjun, where at least I was made more aware of his lyricism, how he structures and how he produces. It felt a little bit more firsthand, like I can really resonate or relate to him and his process a little bit more. So that's all that to say in a very complimentary way. I really like, he has more bangers than not on whenever it's his turn to rap. Is kind of the best way to word it. Notice he did a little sweep. But notice he picked up the speed on the second half. And the reason why the quickness really helped on that part is because there's a snap or like a little clap that happened. It was very quick, so he had to justify it quickly, so the rotation needed to be fast, if that's the part they were going off of, which is what it was. So that was really fun. And it goes da-da-da, da-da-da. So once again, you have definitely like we're popping off, boom, but we have these extra little bouncy vibes to it. I'm not saying bouncy like their track bouncy, but bouncy in the actual technique. Fundamentals. They're bouncing through it. Really fun. But then from there, that tail end of that, it does look like we did, I think we bounced it and then we ended up taking it a little bit more like a DJ scratch kind of texture. Oh no, we go tap, 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 tap. Cool. I mean, I don't mind it. I like it. Everyone's doing a subtly different choice, but because of the type of track and concept it is, the cleanliness is something we can admire, but also the individuality, especially in these little feature sections like this, kind of placate and justify the concept, because I talked about this with ATEEZ Supernatural, where depending on the concept will determine if synchronicity or cleanliness is going to actually benefit you. The answer will always be yes, especially if you have people that cover your work. It just makes it easier to know what's right, because I struggle a lot of times with if there's a choreo, but not everybody's doing it the same way. I struggle to figure out who do I need to watch to actually do it as close to the original of the choreo as it needs to be. And that's happened with many groups. But there are times though where if they showcase intentional individuality and the concept calls for it, like in this case, I would heavily extend that because it feels communal, it feels collaborative, feels like a community, feels like a block party. And in those contexts, you don't think everyone is structured and cloned and in control, where synchronicity is going to justify concept as such. In a block party, you're thinking everybody's got their own vibe, their own lane, we're all living it up and we're all like this mosh pit of fun, you know? So mosh pits are not uniform. They're all individualized. So in this case here with Hongjun's rap, it definitely gives, his tone gives off that vibe, especially in how he's coming across in his presentation also calls for it too. There's a natural blueprint that they're following in the movement, but how they're going about the texture, some of the dynamics, and how they're, you know, showcasing themselves as people is looking like themselves, which I really like. It's cool. Then from there, I love that little bump, ba-da-da-da-da. It's cute. It's a vibe. Do I wish that he had a chicken? Always. And then from here, the runs. This part was so humorous because of the commitment of the high shoulders, and then we dig it a little bit more. That was Kang's to Walk number 3 or 4 that we've seen already. Right here, this does feel like we're trying to do a little Dougie, which I'm vibing with. He runs it, da-da-da, says, hey, I'm here. Little clap, clap. I like Jungho. He does that. It's just a collaboration on the side. Really fun. This part is so freaking dope. Mingi, when I say Mingi, really stands out in a great way in terms of his movement quality. I highly mean that. I love that. Yeah, it's cool. And we take it, little jump rope. I really love the vibes on that. And we go clap, clap. So it goes jump rope, clap, clap. And then we take it. We're about to do it. It's a Dougie. Da-da, da-da. Definitely reminds me of Crazy Forum. You know, that whole little vibe. We take it up. There's your little West Side Story once again. Da-da-da-da. And from here, notice a little dig. Hongjun's giving. Ugh. Oh my gosh, what does it remind me of? It reminds me of a, I don't know, it's so animated, but like, it's like I would see an animated character pull something like that, and we would find that awesome. Like, it's seeing humans do it, I just find it to be amazing. It just feels very, I don't know, it just feels on brand. It's a vibe. Like, a vibe's the best way I can word it. It's so entertaining. Hitting it through, boom, oh, it goes, I think this is My Crew.
That was really nice. Boom, ding, 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 ding. So he's doing, I think, strobing through because of, or he's isolating it very well, ding, 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 and he's doing more of a stop motion through that, and that's why it feels really captivating, is because he's sitting on that ta, 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 ta on the music. Cool. And then he goes meh, and then he turns it more legato. So because he set it up more isolated, and then when he legatoed it, it feels on brand with how he set it, but it's a different texture because it is a different texture in tone and in movement. So I love that. Great feature on his part. Takes it through. Nice little subtlety out of that. My gut tells me that could be a little freestyle. I don't mind it. I like it. I love that choice. Boom, bringing it through. I love that part. Dee, 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 dee. So no, it progresses a little different. It doesn't go front to back. This goes high to low. So I like it. It's still hitting the music. Feels communal. We're showcasing Jungho now. He's entered the chat. I love the taps on that. It's probably there's probably a name for it. A lot of times I would see people add a little extra shimmy to it, and I've seen it placate more towards Afro, but I really like it here. I did add a smidgen of Afro in my own personal choreo to Blind, so I understand the relationship because there's certain syncopated elements of this track that you can make it and convert it over to an Afro pocket quickly. So I see the correlation. I love it. I love that 3-step turn, da-da-da-da. Notice the little posture Seonghwa did. And then they go to the other side, dee-dee-dee-dee, da-da-da-da, up. They take it, and then they rebound it around, and then they make it a nice legato moment. So cool. And then, of course, you have Yeosang do a nice body roll to really keep him, you know, complimentary. And then we have this here. Same setup as what they did in the straight line, but it's not the straight line choreo. And that's the same thing. I love it's kind of like, I'm living my life. Hongjoon's got like this like the epitome of laid back petty is Hongjoon right here in this moment. Love it. Love it. Same course, same choreo as course 1. Yes. And we brush it once again. Make it purr, make it purr. There's a call and response happening in the chorus, so it makes sense with your feature going on the first one because they're the one make it purr. And then everyone goes, make it purr. So there's like the whispers happening on that. Oh God, so freaking sick. Yeah, boom, see me earn, boom, boom. Willy Wonka is working. I like that part where he stays still, but he's rotating them, making it look like he's controlling them. Make it work. Boom. And then look how so freaking seamless this transition is. I love it. They went from a circle into a diagonal every other windowed transition. Good God, that's cool. Let's figure that out. Okay, so we're in a circle here. Well, technically we're in a 3 lines. 2, group of 3, group of hold on. Actually, hold on. So you have a group of 2. You have 1, 2, 3. I would put them on the same plane, and then you have a group of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have a missing space over here. I do find that interesting, but it makes sense. So what they did is they used the perception of the camera or wherever the camera is supposed to be shot for this. Because remember, fixed cams are beautiful and ideal. However, most of the time, you're not going to be seeing this choreo from a fixed cam lens on the promotional side. In concerts, yes, but there's other elements in play on it. But when you're just looking at the choreography in isolation, a lot of times there's other elements that are contributing to the choices. But I mean, if you're looking at this from the front, you're able to have a great time. But sometimes choreos are meant to be shot a particular way, and that's fine. I digress. My point being is this. Based on how we're seeing this, I do this in my own work. This is why. So I'm going off of my lived. I physically have done this, and it's a thing that does happen. Whenever you're dealing with a number of people, so for them they have an even number, so they always will have to battle against symmetry with 1-point features. Always. Because you have an even number. When you have a 1-point feature, which is a lot of this, with a lot of call and response, they've done a fantastic job of it not even being a thing. Love it. But whenever you have a certain formation in play, if you notice in this formation, what we're clocking right now is the first 2 lines. And we're just seeing there's fullness behind the 2 lines. We're not registering the independence of each line. We're seeing it as a full picture. So you see 2 lines, and then you have fullness hanging out over here. You don't notice this space unless we sit here and talk about it, right? And so in my case, I've done that before where I would have a V, and depending on how I'm looking, for me, I normally cater to justifying a formation on the right side first for myself. So I would add more people, like 1 or 2 more people on this side compared to this side. If I'm dealing with a combative number with a 1-point, I would add my extra person on my right side so it feels more full. but it just depends on how it's set up. And funnily enough, the routine that I actually put that in was a Macklemore themed routine. So I have done it before, and depending on your numbers, you're not going to tell either. So for them, if they were just navigating honestly with a group of 6, then you would be able to see it a lot more clearly, and you would actually see that something's off about the formation right there. Does that make sense? Because normally you would see, okay, there's a group of 4, then these 2 would need to fight for center. And I'm not talking about Young-ho, I would talk about who's behind him. So I hope that what I'm saying makes sense. So the fact that they have 8, yes, there's a gap over here, but you're not going to catch it unless we're sitting here talking about it right now. Now we've all caught it, right? Not really a big issue. The reason why this is the case is this. Context of what's about to happen. From here, they cater 2 people more towards stage left because they're about to establish a diagonal. Do we know this? No. Do they? Yes. So regardless if they intentionally set the formation like this and then went into the diagonal, or they did the formations, figured out what the traffic pattern was, and adjusted this formation accordingly, I've done both. So I'm very curious about that. If they do have a behind the scenes, yes, we will watch it, just out of sheer curiosity of how in the world they worked with just J-Blaze. I think it'd be really fun to see. But if not, that's totally fine. I digress. That got it. So once again, we have it, formation, and then we go immediately into the diagonal. Like, that's so freaking sick. Love that. Gotta work, love that choice, that money, and they take it through, make that money. Very isolated in the rotation of the torso as well as where their body is facing. That really helps in a lot of these choices. Hitting it around. So remember, the choreo looks the same, but the direction changes are what makes it look so different. Very nice. Make it purr. Of course, you got Hongjoon, boom, vibing it out. Oh my god, living life. And then you have Jongho too in the front. That make that money, and then we take it, a little ball change action, little clap, very normal, natural gangsta walk to a new transition. There's your little heel digs right there, and they're using the head. This part is probably my favorite formation. I literally just watched G-Idol, and they had a formation where it was they all had the slow speed change, and they have one of them not do the speed change. That was such a fun way to reveal a feature. I love these because you still have environmental movement taking place, which is this, but you still have your feature. Does that make sense? And it makes you, I don't know, it keeps you engaged in how they built the vibe choreographically and movement wise, because movement is the visual representation of music. So you don't want to deviate from that, or you don't want to eliminate that, but goodness gracious, this is fun. The heel digs, and I like the dig there on the snap, and the snap causes, notice the hinge. They sweep it down to get them to rotate to a different direction. I really like that. So in the back, so you got on there. They do it again, and they're facing different directions this time, where you have one line facing to your left and the back facing the right, but you got one person facing front. Everyone has to be on the same page on the direction in order for this type of formation and feature to work. And that, and so that makes it, and so those are moments where certain parts of cleanliness really matter, even if you're going communal and you're going block party. Block parties, you got to have some sense of coordination in order for a visual to happen, like conga lines. It's, traditionally you would like hold people's shoulders and you would move. The formation is, a line, and people would need to make sure that their spacing between their steps is close, because you're going to run into your neighbor or you're going to get left behind. Does that make sense? So there's like a peripheral environmental cohesion, even in the communal moments, that you don't have to be squeaky clean, but you got to be kind of on the same page on spacing and directions, or it's not going to come across, or it's not going to work. Right? In this case, it does work because everybody's facing where they need to face, so the feature can be seen. I love the fact that I'm saying the word work, and every time I'm saying it in this video, I laugh to myself, because I'm like, that's the name of the track chess. Of course it works. It'd be funny if it didn't. Anyway. Then from there, they take it, so you have half the group. You got about 2 of them on one side. They have to deviate and go to this side. These 2 have to go the opposite, but notice it's mirrored. So it's balanced. So you have two people on each side. They have to cheat it. And when we call it by cheating something is whenever everybody is, if you're like mirrored, for example, but you want your mirror people to become doing the same thing in unison, but you want them all to give the appearance that they're stepping on the same foot. Sometimes one group has to modify the movement to give the illusion that they're stepping on a foot based on the perception of your audience, but they're actually stepping on a different foot, or their weight is going somewhere else in order for them to do the next sequence in unison with the group. So we call that cheating, or like cheating aside. And so that's what ended up happening here on both sides, hence why it stayed balanced and it didn't feel like, ooh, one group had to, you know, do more than the other. So you had, yeah, so they're here, but dun 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 dun. Let me see actually what happened. Let me slow this down because I'm very curious as to what realistically happened in this moment. So we're here. Yes, so notice what happens is Yoonho didn't have to move. He does the same movement. So he technically justifies the two over here that don't move because he stayed the same. They turned. And then you notice these two back here turn. They don't turn. They stay where they are. So you saw two cases of cheating where they had to actually turn to create it and they pull and pull. This is so, like, can I just say, this is so fun because I feel like I'm personally talking about things that I normally haven't really talked about in a dance practice. A lot of times this stuff comes out in behind the scenes, so I'm really happy that we're kind of marrying the two because a lot of people like my behind the scenes because I talk about studio relevancy of like, how relevant is this to my lived experience as a choreographer who works with people? Now, I don't work with professional K-pop artists. I do work with people who do compete, though, where there is a particular criteria or expectation going in that we have to do something a particular way to justify our song choice, justify the style that we're bringing. And K-pop is kind of like a... It's not something that's like heavily discussed, but it's something implied, I guess is my point. I digress, though. We're here, living it up. I love the subtlety there. Everybody does a nice little rock. Jungho does not do a rock at all, so he naturally clocks as our feature because he is nice and stable and not really doing the extra movement. It doesn't bother me in that moment really ever when he does that. Modification for your feature, I always promote and I expect because they have to sing at the same time, and so there's a natural polyrhythmic presence already in play with somebody. So having to modify movement that is polyrhythmic in order to compensate for your singing, as well as making sure if you're doing something really full, you don't want this to go to waste because you're singing. And Jungho is our resident golden maknae who is our singer through and through, so it makes sense why he would modify, and I noticed that throughout the discography. So it's something that's not new to me, but it's nice that I can see it and appreciate it. I love that da-da-da. So he takes his hand, notice that he's gonna take it up, and notice they all created into the same dynamic to match his hand. And what makes that work is he takes his hand he takes his hand up and there's like a stop, and then he goes and everybody stops and then they go. So also notice too how high he goes matched how high they needed to go, because if they went too slow and they didn't match the timing, then that wouldn't have worked. Looks cool. And it take a boom, 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 boom. There's that little heartbeat, boom, 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 pulse. So taking a movement and doing it 4 times to pulse it down, really nice. And it goes, stand. And they stand. Get it? And then it's Sun's part, time to shine is my assumption here. So they go, gotta make that money. And I like the fact he's in the center. And he doesn't do the choreo really as much as everybody else does, which I find to be funny. I like it. So they take the body, they're having their chest. They're about to create a nice, fun momentum out of this. They swing. I really like that. Very full. Does it remind me, like I do know San has some form of krump influence behind a lot of his choices. So for me, that does remind me of Getting Buck, if that makes sense. In that choice there. They take it, we baseball bat, we take it through. He creates a fun little trace moment with a blade. He does end up having blades throughout his section, so that's why this doesn't look out of place. And so they rotate while he has that moment of the throw. He brings it through, boom, and they all have the same lower half and they all look up. They look at what they just kicked. I love that choice. Then they go head, shoulder, brush, brush. I like that choice, da-da-da-da-da-da. And what's interesting, and I talk about this when you do puzzle piece choreo, where you have multiple people on the track, which in this case, you do. You have San, you got J-Blaze, and I think BB Trippin, of course, like movement directed. They make sure they calibrate and they come in and audit and do this, that, and the other. And they probably put some choreo in this, I don't know. But I'm here for it. It looks great. It's on brand, but it definitely feels like it's just cool to see ATEEZ do this style because it is technically different, but they have the energy for it and they have the implicit movement quality to hold it down. But I'm not used to seeing them do these sequences in this way. It's just so fun. It's fun. And so having San, you know, a lot of these choices, he has a responsibility now as somebody who has credit as a choreographer for this. He has to make sure that what he does doesn't deviate away from whatever has been built by the other choreographers. Because I'm going, remember, off of the knowledge of what people have told me, that he is in charge of this dance break. Can I see it? High chance, yes. Just like I can see a J Blaze petty groove, I can see San's movement quality. Like, he has a crump posture about some of his stuff, so seeing some of that in his choices doesn't shock me at all, right? Or maybe just how he did it physically, regardless if it's his or not, that would be, you know, that I relate that to that. I digress, though. But he's doing a good job, though, of all this choreo matching very well to what already exists, is my main point. So good job on his part for that. They make it purr, like that choice, looks cool. They body roll, boom, he takes it a little come here. I like the transition on this part, looks great. Pick it up, boom, boom, nice and subtle after that. And syncopated, boom, accent over to the side, really nice. On that track, which is cool, nice little kick there. Then they take it through, notice, boom, some of them choose to do a fixed point. So look at San on this. He takes it out and then he moves it over. Yo-sang technically had his already set here, so he didn't have as aggressive of a fixed point as San does, but because I'm operating, San is the one who choreographed this section, that's going to be the intention he's going for if he's doing it that way. Whether he recognizes it or not, you would be surprised of how many choreographers, and I'm not projecting this on San, I'm just saying as a general statement, a lot of choreographers cannot tell you why they made a choice they did. And that's something that for me has been a lifelong process. That's why I am the way that I am a lot of times when I do analysis, is that there are a lot of choreographers that may not realize how cool their choreo is, and seeing where they got a lot of this information or where it can potentially stem from. Because I've had conversations with choreographers in-house at studios I work for. They'd come in, they would pull some really cool boogaloo fundamentals in a contemporary routine. They'd have no idea that those fundamentals that they put in there had names or they're derived from a culture or a source. Part of me is saddened by that we don't have that type of information that's like lived in whenever we have choreographers do stuff like that. But also it's really cool that I have a skill set that I recognize. I know this is a skill set that not everybody has, and I'm still growing in it, and I am not perfect at it, and I'm not saying that at all. I just really am passionate about the why behind things. And so I like being in this position where if the choreographer of a track comes on, there is a chance, there's more times than not, that's my point, more times than not a choreographer can't really justify, they can justify big picture, but they can't justify the details of like why they made this one specific movement here. Why do they choose to fix point it? Like that, what their body is so used to doing, they sometimes don't think through, why does my body want to do that there, right? And that's okay. That's the beauty of growing. That's why it's so important to always be a student, is that you're always self-discovering yourself. It doesn't downplay the quality of the choreography at all if a choreographer doesn't really know those answers to those questions. But man, does it help when they're teaching it, and man, does it help if they understand it, because they can allow their artist, you know, so in San's case, if San understands why he makes these choices, it makes ATEEZ all on the same page on the intention on how it's to be done. It's kind of my point. It makes you a better communicator of your own work if you can understand how to express it or talk about why you made the choices you did. It helps other people get on board because it looks like you are invested in your own work in that way, which in this case I can really feel that, and I see that, if that makes sense. So that I want you guys to know, like, it's not everybody understands choreography or is able to talk through it as a choreographer the way that I do. I come from an analyst skill set. This is not the same thing as choreography. I have a choreographic empathetic lens, but it's not, choreography is not the same thing as analytics. So I want you guys to know that there is a difference. Okay, moving on. Sorry for my little TED talk. I know some of you like when I deviate in that way, but I know some of you are like, get to the point. I'm sorry. Here we go. Moving on. I like the little fixed point he did, but notice he goes over to the side and then he resets it. I really like that. This right here, I love that. Boom, nice subtlety. What were they doing in that moment? Hold on. Doon, doon, doon. Oh, they boom, doon, doon, doon. And then it feels like they reset on the head and then they shot it out. They take a boom, da-doo. Notice that they let the body catch on that second one, da-da-da, to make it feel like a fun pull to match what's going on. They take it, they double it up on the other side, drop it down, they swing it up, and then this part I really like because the lower half of the body really matches the pre-chorus effectively. Oh no, just kidding, not really, sorry. Whoa, that's a lie. Whoa. This part, ding, 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 it hits the very specific part of the music. That's dun, 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 or that's syncopation in the back. That lower half matches to a freaking T. That's what I'm gleaning from. My apologies. That part of the music's been throughout the whole track, but I haven't seen that specific groove done. And notice it was really, it was a lot sharper, but it definitely had heaviness behind the sharpness, which is fun. I like that choice. Boom, da-doon, and then we go. We slide to the transition. Gotta make that money. And they take the money, make it. Let's make it. Make it. And it feels so anticlimactic, or like they literally just took the music and they said, we're done when we're done. Not the track is finished and we're done. It's we made the track stop by this movement. That is musicality. Love it. Love this to a freaking T. Here's the thing. I was able to talk about this for almost an hour. You know, that should tell you how happy I am to have been able to look at this. And for as simple as some of the choices are, man, are there so many other interesting things going on that I was able to really look at and go, wow, that is what makes this choreo freaking work. So I get my hats off. If I have my shoe, I throw it. You know, it's oof, man, pop the freak off on this. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to see more ATEEZ, I have a lot of it. I have a lot of it already on YouTube, but I have so much more on Patreon. Also, if you are an ATEEZ or if you are a fan of dance analysis or my perspective of movement with this group in particular or with other K-pop groups, I always early release, so this is technically early released almost a day before it's going out into YouTube. So if you're somebody who's impatient and you want to see things as I react to them and as I work on them, Patreon's going to be the best place to get access immediately as I record it and as I, you know, as I upload and edit it. So this was so fun. Like my eyes are low-key like a little dilated just from how enjoyable that choreo was. It makes me really excited to learn it. I will be learning this. I just don't know when. Probably maybe today. We'll see. But yeah, you guys know me. I know you. I'm Jess, and I will catch you on the flip side. Bye.